Bible is the mark of the beast. So now, pay attention. We've been teaching about love, grace, and charity. Now this one's the one we want to watch out for. This one is real dangerous, and this is what happens many times. The water gets poisoned. You know, it's called a poison love, and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous when this happens, and I've seen it happen over and over and over again. People will love God with all of their heart, and then something comes along, and they just love it the most, and they get caught away. I've seen people had this message and was really moving in the spirit and loving God, but then they'd fall in love with something else. You know, it's like Samson and Delilah. You've heard that story over and over and over. He loved a woman down in this valley, and her name was Delilah. And Samson was a Nazarite, never had a razor to his hair. And she kept provoking him.
Telling him, if you loved me, you would tell me your secrets. You don't tell me your secret, that means you don't love me.
And so this love become poison. Samson got his eyeballs punched out. And you got to be careful about poison love. See, love, these people that teaches love, 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 it's one thing to love. But when you love Delilah,
you're in trouble.
Serious trouble.
I'm not Delilah.
This is Pumpkin. But when you love the world or love things in the flesh, like David was one of the greatest men that ever lived. He was a man after God's own heart. I love to read about David. He'd go down in the valley with a slingshot against a giant, with God with him. And he could do anything for God. He loved God. But he seen Bathsheba one night, and it caused a lot of trouble for his house. Never left David's house after that. So don't love the wrong thing.
And if you do love, sometimes you can't help but love things that you know you shouldn't. Don't let that love control you, and don't let it take you from God. Flee from an ungodly love, because it will destroy you.
Love is the strongest thing, and it'll destroy you. Here's the thing that I've learned. People love their church. They love their Bible. They love to count their beads. They love these prisons with stained glass windows. They love to sing in the church and put on the robes.
They love religion, and they love the idea of Jesus that they built up in their mind from the Bible.
They love the Bible. I've seen them, they just love their Bible. So be careful with love, poisoned love. Now listen to some of these stories and watch what happens when you have poisoned love.
And just because you've read about Jesus, and you love the stories about Jesus, and you think you love Him, but you've really just loving an image that you built in your mind from history, you don't really love Him unless you know Him in the Spirit. And that will deceive you and take you to hell if you just love an image of Him.
So listen closely to this one.
Acts 5:3. But Peter said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Ghost and to keep back part of the price of the land?
Now, Ananias and Sapphira got been good people because they had the Holy Ghost. And Peter said, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Ghost? Now, why did he lie?
Because of the money.
Oh, no, not money.
He didn't have to give the money at all. He could have kept it, but he wanted to look holy and righteous, but he really wasn't because he still wanted the money. So he lied to the Holy Ghost to try to look like he was righteous.
I remember, I used to be a disc jockey, and I knew some of the country artists and everything. This was years ago. And Johnny Cash, he was a good man. You know, he come off a farm in Arkansas. But he was going to make a lot of money and do something for God. But he made a lot of money, but he didn't get to do nothing for God. He died in misery, you know. And this is what happens. You don't serve God with money. You don't do something because you got money. These evangelists tell me, say, give me some money and I can do something for God. Well, them apostles didn't have no silver or gold. They didn't have no money, and they done more than anybody.
And you can't do anything for Him. He has to do it through you. It's not by your works of righteousness.
So don't let money get you.
No, you can't do it. Only He can do it through you. You have to do what He tells you to do, not what you want to do.
Now here's an old boy's the best. I like him the best. I got more information about him. But he really had a lot of revelations. I learned something reading history book about him and all. He was one of the greatest. Listen what happened to him.
2 Corinthians 12:7. Unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
Now, what's the main word in here?
Lest he should be exalted.
Don't y'all know who I am?
When God speaks to you and gives you many revelations, and then you have a danger of your flesh being exalted.
I'm Joel Osteen. I live in a $20 million house. I've got all these books and everything. I am something. You know, old Schuler, he had trouble. He got on a plane, and a man brought him some cheese and grapes. And he said, would you take the cheese off the plate? He said, take them off yourself. See, Schuler was so used to people bowing down at his feet. And he had trouble with that. And, you know, he lost the Crystal Cathedral and everything because he was exalted way above measure.
And he didn't have revelations from Christ. He was exalted by the devil.
Paul got a thorn in his flesh to keep him humble.
Yeah, but he did have things from Christ. Paul did.
Now listen to this. This is poison love. Pay close attention to this one here. And this is what I teach people, but they just don't get it.
It was poison love in the garden, too, when Eve gave Adam the apple.
Yeah.
Which is just symbolic.
All right.
2 Timothy 4:10. For Demas hath forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is departed unto Thessalonica, Crescens to Galatia, Titus to Dalmatia.
All right. Now Demas forsook Paul, a man of God, a man that followed with Paul and was working for God. And why did he leave him?
Because he loved the present world.
Oh, no.
There was probably a family, a home, something in the world that he loved.
Your children, or your dog, or your house, or your money, or your car.
He got homesick and went home.
He loved the world. So don't love the world, or the things that are in the world.
Don't let it control you.
Now here's something that'll fool you. I want to tell you this. This will fool you. I want to show it to you this plain as I can. All right, read this in Miss Punkin.
Revelation 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
Now remember, a lot of people, when they're suffering for God. And a lot of times you think, well, I've done something wrong. Jesus don't like me. You think when you're being chastened by God or you've been put in prison by the devil. See, they put me in jail and everything. I couldn't blame Jesus. It wasn't Jesus. It was the devil doing it. So like Oral Roberts was sick when he was just 17 years old. And he said he had tuberculosis. And he asked his mom, said, Mama, why would God let this happen to me? She said, it ain't God, it's a devil.
And he got well. He was able
or went to a tent meeting, tent preacher healed him. So don't think when you're being punished or put in prison or doing something that you're being punished by God. It's a devil.
And even if you are being chastened, because sometimes he will chasten his own, it's for your own good and it's out of love.
That's right.
It's not out of hate. And he loves to see that his people will not faint and will not give up, no matter what kind of trials and troubles they go through. Look what Job went through and many others, but they didn't leave God.
And here, this is what this means. You've always heard this.
2 Peter 2:22. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb, the dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire.
See, they leave God and go back into the world. That's what happened. Because it's too hard or God's chasing them more. They love money, they love the world, and they return back.
And Satan will tempt you with that because you get those things in your heart, being born and living in this world. But you have to love God more than you love those things, because if you don't, Satan will take you away from Christ, who's supposed to be your first love.
And let me tell you something. God will set your field on fire. He will get your hide. He's got my hide many times. And there ain't no place to hide when he gets after you. I mean, you can escape from the devil sometime, but not from Jesus. When he chastens you, well, you just won't get away.
Like Jonah when he tried to flee.
Jonah tried to run. God put him in the belly of the whale.
Bad idea.
bad idea, Jonah.
Hebrews 12:6. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens and scourges every son whom he receives.
So know the difference between God's chastening, between you wrestling with demons, and understand the trials and temptations through the world. And do not give up your faith. Always keep the faith and go by the Spirit of God, that you can have peace in God and love God, and don't take no poison love. That's the worst thing. You'll be like Samson with your eyeballs punched out. Love can be poisonous. It's the most dangerous thing. See, Adam loved Eve. That got us all in trouble. So remember, do not take any poison love.